Some airplanes don't get attention because they're flashy. Others don't get attention because they quietly make sense. Today's list sits right in that gap. These are plain smart pilots by early, not because they're trendy, but because value always moves before headlines. Let's start with one most people underestimate. The Mooney M20C is a perfect example of that logic. At first glance, it looks unassuming, almost conservative, but once you start flying and owning one, the efficiency becomes impossible to ignore. It delivers real cross-country speed on fuel burns that many larger, newer aircraft can't touch, and that alone changes how pilots think about value over time. The aerodynamic design rewards pilots who fly precisely, and that creates a feeling of connection between pilot and machine that many modern aircraft have lost. Its range isn't theoretical, it's practical, meaning fewer fuel stops and more direct trips. Maintenance tends to be predictable, and parts availability remains better than many expect for an older airframe. Insurance stays reasonable, which matters more every year. Owners often talk about how the airplane feels faster than the numbers suggest, especially when cruising efficiently at altitude. It's not a ramp queen, and that's exactly why it works. The cabin may not impress at first glance, but after hours of flying, comfort becomes more noticeable than flash. As fuel prices fluctuate, the M20C quietly protects its owners from operating cost shocks. Many buyers skip it because it isn't trendy or widely hyped online, but pilots who actually log hours and pay the bills usually end up here first, and they rarely leave. That same under-the-radar value shows up clearly in the Cessna 177 Cardinal. For years, its reputation lagged behind reality, keeping prices artificially low even as the airplane itself matured. Early issues dominated the narrative far longer than they deserved to, and later models corrected most of those concerns without ever getting proper credit. Visibility is excellent, which makes every phase of flight feel more relaxed and intuitive. Handling feels more refined than most expect from a high-wing Cessna, especially in cruise and during approach. The cabin layout feels less cramped, and ingress and egress are noticeably easier for everyday flying. Many owners appreciate how honest the aircraft feels, with predictable behavior and forgiving characteristics. It's an airplane that encourages regular use instead of intimidating its pilot. Maintenance is straightforward, and mechanics are generally familiar with the platform. As pilots move away from unnecessary complexity and back toward airplanes that simply do the job well, the Cardinal starts making more sense every year. It fits real-world flying, not brochure fantasies, and that's exactly how quiet value builds. Then there's the Piper Comanche 250, an airplane that still flies like it belongs in a higher price bracket. From the moment you level off, it feels solid, planted, and purposeful. Cruise speeds remain competitive even by modern standards, especially considering its age. The useful load allows real travel with passengers and bags, not just optimistic planning. Owners consistently praise how stable it feels in turbulence, which matters on longer trips. The control harmony gives confidence without feeling heavy, and landings reward proper technique. It never became fashionable, which kept it off the radar of speculative buyers. That lack of hype preserved affordability for pilots who care more about flying than image. Insurance costs tend to stay reasonable compared to high-performance retractables. As pilots look for capable traveling machines without stepping into extreme performance or complexity, the Comanche quietly gains attention. It doesn't shout for attention, but once flown, it leaves a strong impression that's hard to forget. The Beechcraft Sierra follows a similar path. Often overshadowed by its Bonanza sibling, it delivers build quality that's immediately noticeable the moment you close the door. The structure feels solid, the controls feel precise, and the overall experience feels premium without being intimidating. Cabin comfort is better than many expect, especially on longer legs. The Sierra benefits from Beechcraft's reputation for durability, which carries weight in long-term ownership. Maintenance tends to reflect quality rather than fragility, and that matters over decades. Performance is balanced rather than extreme, which keeps operating costs in check. Owners often mention how the airplane simply feels well made. It's an aircraft that ages gracefully, both structurally and in market perception. Buyers who value craftsmanship over hype tend to notice that early, long before prices adjust. When a market finally catches up, it's usually because pilots have already been quietly buying them. Another aircraft that keeps surprising the market is the Grumman Tiger. Its simplicity is one of its biggest strengths, especially in an era where complexity drives cost. Speed for the horsepower is impressive, making it feel more capable than the numbers suggest. The bonded aluminum construction and corrosion resistance add long-term peace of mind, especially in humid environments. Control response is light and enjoyable, which encourages frequent flying rather than cautious ownership. Visibility is excellent, enhancing situational awareness in every phase of flight. Maintenance is generally straightforward, and owners appreciate the lack of unnecessary systems. Fuel efficiency stays competitive, especially for the performance delivered. As operating costs matter more than ever, these traits become increasingly valuable. The Tiger doesn't rely on reputation alone. It earns loyalty through daily use. That kind of ownership satisfaction doesn't stay undervalued forever. The Piper Arrow may not sound exciting anymore, but that's exactly why it works. It offers retractable gear experience without jumping into extreme performance categories. For many pilots, it represents a logical step rather than an emotional one. Performance is honest and predictable, which builds confidence over time. Parts availability remains strong, keeping long-term ownership realistic. Training demand alone creates a constant baseline of interest in the Arrow. Insurance stays more accessible than many faster retractables. The airplane fits multiple missions without excelling in only one, and that versatility keeps it relevant. Owners appreciate how well-documented and understood the platform is. It fills a gap that never really disappears in general aviation. Even when trends change, demand quietly supports values in the background. The Sakata TB9 is another example of European engineering that took time to be appreciated globally. The build quality feels deliberate, with a sense of refinement that stands out in everyday operation. Stability in cruise makes longer flights less fatiguing. Cabin ergonomics feel modern even years later, which surprises many first-time pilots. The airplane encourages smooth, efficient flying rather than aggressive handling. Maintenance culture around the TB series has matured significantly over time. Owners often highlight how predictable and comfortable the aircraft feels. It offers something different without being unfamiliar. As pilots look for airplanes that feel refined but not complicated, the TB9 starts standing out. Once awareness increases, pricing rarely stays flat for long. Finally, the Diamond DA40 represents a more modern version of the same value-driven mindset. Composite construction brings durability and efficiency together in a way metal airframes can't always match. Visibility is exceptional, contributing directly to safety and confidence. Fuel efficiency remains one of its strongest selling points, especially in real-world operations. Handling feels precise without being demanding, which suits a wide range of pilots. Early models have already proven their longevity, easing concerns about aging composites. Training demand keeps a steady floor under market values. As newer DA40s and DA42s climb in price, buyers naturally look backward. That backward glance steadily pulls earlier models up with them, turning smart early purchases into quietly strong investments. If you enjoyed this kind of market insight, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Comment below which airplane you think is still flying under the radar, or which one you regret not buying sooner.